What's up, everybody? I'm Bo from Brutal Commentary, and today I'll be talking about a very huge, important main event in the world of boxing as the unified WBA and WBO super welterweight champion Xander Zayas will be defending both his belts against the undefeated Jaron Boots Ennis. Undefeated versus undefeated, one of the biggest fights this year, and this is not an easy fight for both guys. Like I said, undefeated 23-0 versus 35-0. Huge implications. Both guys still in their 20s, 23 to 28 respectively. For Zayas, he's a young unified champion, looking to prove he belongs among boxing's elite and looking to be one of the best Puerto Rican boxers like Miguel Cota, for example. Well, meanwhile, you have Boots, who has moved up from welterweight, who was also a unified champion, looking to add another world title to his resume. This is just the type of fight fans gotta love. Someone's O's gotta go. Both of them are incredibly skilled, and both of them just are incredible boxers. This is going to be an awesome fight. Of course, the question coming into this, can Xander Zayas prove to be a challenge for Boots? Because even though he's the unified champion, he is definitely the underdog in this matchup and more or less expected to lose. I mean, Boots is the 3-1 favorite. But make no mistake, this is going to be fireworks. This is going to be fun, and I'm very excited to talk about this matchup. Oh, and of course, this is happening this Saturday, June 27th. Oh, that out of the way, let's get down to the breakdown. Starting with Xander Zayas. I think Zayas has definitely developed into one of the most complete young boxers in the sport. He's a very patient fighter who doesn't waste punches. And for someone still so young, his ring IQ is extremely impressive. He controls distance well behind the jab, puts combinations together beautifully, and rarely looks like he's trying to rush things inside the ring. I would say Zayas' biggest strength is probably his fundamentals. He keeps a tight guard, works behind a disciplined jab, and attacks both the body and head very well. He's also physically strong for the division, which allows him to bully opponents on the inside when he wants to. And over the last few years, his power has continued to improve as well. He may not be a one-punch knockout artist, but he breaks opponents down with clean, accurate combinations. And defensively, he's very composed. He doesn't overreact to feints, doesn't panic under pressure, and usually sticks to his game plan well for over 12 rounds. That's one of the reasons why he's become a unified champion at such a young age. He's well coached, he's very talented, and he knows to stick behind the fundamentals. Now, looking at Jaron Boots Ennis. I will say this, I've thought of this since doing the tape study on him and just looking at his career. I definitely think Boots is one of the most gifted boxers in the entire sport today. And hell, if Boots continues the run he's on, I think he will be recognized as one of the greats. He's very, very good. Athletically, he's unbelievable. Explosive, incredibly fast, switches stances effortlessly, and has legitimate knockout power in both hands. What separates him from a lot of power punchers is that Boots isn't relying just on power. His timing, accuracy, and ability to make reads are so elite. For Boots, he can box from the outside behind the jab, counter in the pocket, or simply overwhelm opponents with combinations. He doesn't really have one style because he adapts to whoever is standing across from him. Whether he needs to box, pressure, or counter, he can do all of it at such a high level. So good at blending it all together very well. Defensively, he's just as impressive. His reflexes are outstanding. He's difficult to hit cleanly. I mean, his head movement and ability to turn with the punch is so good. And his footwork allows him to create angles that most fighters simply can't deal with. I mean, I've seen him be able to go standing in front of his opponent and do a complete 180 and wind up behind the guy in one simple motion. I mean, it's so smooth to watch. And since moving up to 154 pounds, it just looks like a natural fit for him. He's not draining himself to make the weight, and he still appears to be every bit as explosive as he was in welterweight. I know Usman Lima wasn't really that good, was a bit of an unknown, and Boots, quickly polished him off in the first round. But make no mistake, I do think Boots is going to be really good in this weight class, and honestly, thinking about it, it's such a shame that Terrence Crawford fight got away from us. That would have been amazing. Now, Breaking this down stylistically, this is a phenomenal matchup as both guys are very skilled. I think Zayas is going to have success with his jab and fundamentals. He's disciplined enough to avoid making a lot of careless mistakes. And I think he'll have moments where he slows the pace down and forces Boots to think instead of just simply react. I just think the problem is Boots has one too many tools. He's the faster fighter, the more explosive athlete. I think he's more dynamic offensively. And whether it's fighting southpaw or orthodox, leading or countering, Boots has answers for just about every style. That's something very few fighters can really say. I also think Boots has the edge in power. Zayas has respectable pop, but Boots is the type of fighter who can change the entire fight with one clean shot. Even when he's boxing patiently, opponents have to respect the power every second of every round. Now, that doesn't mean this will be an easy fight whatsoever. I don't agree with the notion Zayas is going to get run over. I think he's too talented for that. And I also think he'll make Boots work harder than almost anybody has. I do expect this to be a competitive fight. But over 12 rounds, I think the athleticism, speed, and versatility of Boots are going to make the difference in this fight. So for my official prediction, I think this is a fantastic championship fight between two undefeated stars who are willing to risk their perfect records instead of protecting it. So for Zayas, I think he's going to have moments. His fundamentals and composure are good enough to win rounds, I think. And I wouldn't be surprised if this is competitive throughout the middle stages of the fight. But with all that said and done, I think Boots is simply a bit too much. I think he's the more complete fighter, the more explosive athlete, and the man with the greater ability to make adjustments as the fight progresses. So for my official prediction, I'm going to go with Jaron Boots Ennis, and I'm going to pick him via late TKO. Like I mentioned, I think Zayas will make this competitive, and I think he is not a dead man walking. He will put up a fight. But ultimately, I think Boots is just a little too much too soon. And if this fight were to happen maybe a few years ago, maybe I would think this would be a little more competitive. I take it back. I think maybe Zayas would actually have a chance of winning. But ultimately, I am going to pick Boots to win, and I'm picking him via late TKO. But with that being said, I've been Bo from Brutal Commentary. If you enjoyed this breakdown, like, subscribe, or leave a comment down below on who you think's going to win. But until then, and I've been Bo for Brutal Commentary once again. And remember, folks, stay calm, stay respectful, and enjoy the violence. See y'all next time.